Well, hello everybody. How are we doing? This is the Random Name 951, and today I'm going to be doing my review of Resident Evil 8, aka Resident Evil Village. I just recently beat the game on hardcore mode, which is the hardest mode or difficulty you can do at the start of your first play of the game. I played it on the PS5, ran great. No complaints there. Everything looked really good. So what I'm gonna be doing is kind of giving my feedback on the game, how it was from kind of beginning to end. Again, this is gonna be feedback only, so there is no spoilers. There is no, anything about the plot, giving up on that. So don't worry about having, watching this video and then thinking, oh man, now I can't play this game because this guy's told me about it. No, there won't be any spoilers in this video. More of just a feedback overview. All right, so starting off, the game is pretty, the game overall it's good. Starting off, it's very calm, everything's cool, and you start off in just start off like I don't know, it's just weird compared to other Resident Evil games. Other Resident Evil games, you're already like in the situation. And this one, you're not. You kind of just start off in a safe place, I guess you can say. When you start off in a safe place, I would recommend exploring throughout that whole area. On my first playthrough, I was only in that quote unquote safe place for about maybe 5 minutes or less. And when I went to start a new game plus recently, I kind of I didn't realize I skipped over a lot of stuff. So when you start off, make sure you do exploration, um, and just make sure you kind of look around. If you've played previous Resident Evil games, you will see a couple Easter eggs here and there, kind of just some backstory when you do that exploration in the beginning. So nothing much, but the intro is pretty good. Moving on is the map. So the map of the game, as you can see, the game's called Village, of course. The map is based around that. I'm not going to say much more about that, other than that the map is, you'll find out it's somewhat small. And what I mean by small is it's like in some Resident Evil games, like say Resident Evil 4, you're actually in a village, and then from there you're like in this castle, and like the castle seemed really big. There's a lot of different areas you could go to, but you're just exploring that one castle. In this game, there's a bit of variety to the map, so it's weird because the map, it's all connected. It revolves around the village, but there's each area to the map, and it is a small map, but there is opportunities to backtrack within those areas to look for hidden treasures that you might have missed. And in some cases, you need to go back, or it is optional to go back to certain areas to find treasures due to not having the equipment to access the locations. So the map itself, it's a bit small, but once you get into each area, some areas are larger than others. You'll see that in the beginning of the game, you're in an area where it's pretty large. Not the village itself, but the first level against the first, I would say, antagonist. The level's pretty lengthy. It's pretty good. And then you'll see, moving throughout the game, some of the levels just like you went from like, oh, I'm playing maybe couple hours here to like only playing like maybe an hour to 2 hours at most in one area. They kind of fluctuate, so you'll see some time was put more into different areas than there was others, so you'll notice that when playing. Gameplay, so a lot of Resident Evil games, at least the original ones like 1 through 3, it's a lot of puzzle, going back and forth, kind of backtracking, finding the item here, taking it, and then it unlocks you to a different area, and then, it kind of just going back and forth, basically trying to solve a big puzzle. Well, in this game, it's a bit linear. There's really no way to get lost in the game. You're kind of just guided through it. It's not bad. It's very friendly toward people who haven't played the original, Resident Evil series. But yes, it is a bit linear. Um, it does have a bit of a hand holding, but there are certain aspects that make it a good choice to play as a first Resident Evil game. I was told by a friend that the game is pretty easy as far as difficulty. So when he told me that, I just immediately went on the hardest difficulty available from the start, which is a hardcore. And hardcore, it was in the beginning. If you've never played the game, which I haven't, or even if you're familiar with some first-person shooters, it's totally different on this. I almost rage quit and went back to easy or normal difficulty. I would say definitely go with hardcore difficulty. It's going to be the most rewarding difficulty in the first run, and then from there, you go, you see what you want to do after your first complete game. Bosses. So each boss is unique to their own area. Some have their own special abilities, of course. And then you'll notice that some bosses, it's just the boss areas are shorter than others, the areas where they're based in. So you'll see like I said, each boss is unique. I would say there is no boss that's like overly hard. They're pretty straightforward to kind of figure out and fight. And it's definitely just a crazy time with each boss fight. They're all each uniquely fun. Again, there are a couple boss fights that are more underwhelming than others. Just feel like, in some parts they kind of, like, oh, okay, we have this boss, but, maybe they didn't have the time or the budget to get through it, so they kind of rush through certain areas. But overall, the bosses are definitely very interesting during the game. The environment. So, of course, your environment is going to be based around this thing here. Just right when you get into the game, you'll notice the game has a very, beautiful looking scenery environment to it. It's very reminiscent to Resident Evil 4's village that they have. Of that environment, it's a little different, but it's similar. You'll get that vibe from it. Especially for the up to the first half of Resident Evil 4, if you ever played it, you go from the village to another level, and it's very reminiscent of that. Just overall, the whole environment just looks so good, especially on next generation consoles. I'm guessing whether you're playing on PlayStation 5, Series X or S, and also of course PC. The enemies. So the enemies, there's a little bit of variety. There isn't nothing crazy. Each area does have its own unique enemy. You will notice in some areas that you will see the same enemy a couple times. They are recycled a couple times throughout each area. Later in the game, you do fight tougher and a bit, menacing looking enemies. And also too, what I like about the enemies is that you do experience some what I would call like mini boss fights in between areas. So it's not like you're just fighting generic enemies throughout the whole game. You are kind of getting a little bit mixed up where like, okay, you got generic enemy, and then you got like a specialized enemy, sort of like a mini boss fight, and then it kind of leads up to the actual boss fight. So the overall story, I will say the plot or conflict is given to you as soon as you start the game, and then it kind of unfolds as you play the game. It gives you reasons for the exploration. As far as the beginning, there isn't really much revealed on what's going on. You're kind of just given, all right, this is the objective and this is what you need to do. It's not till the very end of the game that you're like getting more insight and more lore behind what kind of makes village, village. Throughout the game, while you're getting toward the end, when you're facing each boss or when you're facing each area, different area, you are gaining, I would say, insight and lore on the bosses within each area you traverse. So there's that. So a lot of people wonder, is this an action game? Is this a horror game? Does it have a bit of both? Personally, this game is not. I would say this game, it has an eerie feeling to it from the very beginning, and definitely when going against some of the main boss areas or going in the main boss areas, you do get that feeling of eeriness. Is it scary? Well, personally, throughout my first game, well, just through my whole, playing the game, it wasn't scary in my opinion. There are, of course, suspenseful parts and definitely jump scares, but no true horror aspect. There's one scary horror instance early on in the game when facing one of the four sub antagonists. So I mean, the game itself isn't really scary. There is some kind of parts where you're waiting for a jump scare, or you're kind of just walking through and you're like, oh, what's behind that door? So it's more suspense than horror, I would say, survival horror. Uh, I guess it pays homage to Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, if anything. But it's definitely a good game and what it tries to, I guess, convey. Should you buy and play it? Well, personally, I do recommend the game. If you've ever played the old RE games or new to the franchise, I didn't officially get into the series until Resident Evil 4, which is like, pretty late in the game because you got 0, 1, 2, 3, and then you got Veronica, and you got like a couple other ones in between that. So, I got into the whole Resident Evil series pretty late, and kind of when it went from survival horror to like kind of an action suspenseful, not really horror. So it I would say this is still definitely a good game to get in. If you're looking to buy it, at least new, I would recommend Walmart. You get there for $49.99 before tax, depending what state you live in. Of course, there's always options of buying it used from some sort of marketplace or just secondhand in general. Will you play it again? Yes, I am definitely gonna start my second playthrough. Um, After most, Resident Evil games, there is a, new game plus, so you start over with your weapons that you had, your stats, and of course you unlock new weapons based on the difficulty you played and what you did during that your whole, kind of gameplay, your whole game campaign. Um, yeah, so I don't want to spoil it there. I don't want to say any much, but yeah, once basically you do the new once you beat the game, you do get some extra options and stuff in your new game plus. All right, guys, so that's pretty much all I have to say about it. I'll kind of show you, if you guys want to see. I'm going to show like a couple of screenshots. I'm not going to show any screen recordings because, again, I do want to avoid as much spoilers as possible. But you guys have probably seen a lot of the stuff circulating through the internet and all that. So just a little bit of warning, I will show some screenshots of the game when I was playing. So you can choose to end the video now and then just leave it at that. Or if you want to check them out, go ahead and look at it. There isn't really going to be any spoilers. I'm not going to give you any context around what you're seeing, just kind of pictures and screenshots of the in-game system taking those screenshots. So here you go. You might know who that is. Kind of the internet blew up when this was going on. But let's see if you could. This is on the PS5, and this is I guess you could say, a cutscene. But I mean, man, it just, the game itself looks so darn good. Like, I forgot I was playing a game. It was almost like a kind of movie. Playing through a movie. Just really good. You can see it's super crazy, and Just crazy, man. It's crazy. So that's one. Let me get to the next one. Alright, you already know we have to flex. We have to give homage. No simping though. Respectfully giving homage. You can see here, this is another picture. Unfortunately, my camera is not picking up the color as good as my screen is showing me. But I'm using the LG, I think it's called FreeSync monitor. But yeah, I mean, just I wish I had better. Let me see if I could get it. That looks about the same. Yeah, but you can see that's another screenshot there. That's actual gameplay. No, no, what you call it? No cutscene there. Alright, here we have another screenshot of gameplay. You can see, like, when you're getting to this part of the game, it looks so crazy. It looks so good. You got this background with the waterfall, you know, nice crazy waterfall falling right behind this precariously perched house. You know, looks like it's ready to fall off the mountain. But yeah, this is when, you know, you get kind of to like a well, you know what, I don't want to say anything. So you'll when you get to it, you'll know, like, yeah, this is the house. This is the house he was talking about. But yeah, you can see there's red around the screen because I took damage. I wasn't healed up, but yeah, this is just the overall look of the game, and the scenery is just amazing in this game. Like I was saying, there are some kind of creepy, eerie aspects to this game. I took a screenshot of this. This is actual gameplay, not like cutscenes. You can see how scary those eyes look. You know, it's just like you see this, you're like, oh hell no. Kind of another picture of just, you know, the doll looking at you. You're just waiting for it to, like, just whoosh, come at you, you know. Just very menacing with those bloodshot red eyes. It's not a it's kind of something you'll see in your nightmares, you know. Alright, and you can see here another look at how great the game, you know, these cutscenes. This is a cutscene. How the cutscenes look. I mean, it almost looks like the character itself is like 3D, like a 3D image. It's crazy. You can see the background. Just, I love the scenery of the area, you know, you're in. It's like I said, it's not the largest map, but you do notice that, you know, once you venture into an area, there's kind of sub areas to it. So the map doesn't seem big, but it's able to expand very well to where you get some a decent bit of gameplay in each area you are in. Alright, here's another screenshot. This is a screenshot of a gameplay and not a cutscene. You can see, kind of take a look. You might not see what's going on much, but again, there's a lot of different areas within the map. Like I said, there's sub areas within the map, and this is it's definitely a different area. You won't really get bored with each area you're in, because it kind of it goes to different, I guess, how can I say this without being repetitive? It's just like each area has its different own core thing with it, you know. Some areas have to do with water, some areas have to do with a different kind of aspect to it. But yeah, so there's that. See, here's another screenshot of actual gameplay. Very creepy. You can see like the background, not a very well lit area. You got like these bodies kind of just hanging on something holding on to them. It's very weird. Again, another screenshot of gameplay. You can see very not well lit area, and the very menacing enemy. Very menacing. So of course, most of you may know who this is already in the front. I'm not going to tell you who it is, even if you do or do not know who it is. But yeah, you do see some familiar faces. Again, I'm not going to tell you who this is, but there is I would say maybe a familiar face or two. But yeah, you'll meet some characters throughout the game. Yeah guys, and that's about it for my Resident Evil Village little review. I hope you enjoyed the video, and leave me some comments and suggestions. Let me know if this was just the right amount of review and no spoilers or anything. But yeah, until next time, guys, deuces.